Joining me now, retired CIA operations officer Sam Faddis. Sam, good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, Sam, let's start with this question of the day. This is unbelievable to me. I mean, the more information that comes out about this attacker, the more shocking it is that he was in Germany in the first place. But the German intelligence agencies heard chatter before this attack. They knew the Christmas market was going to be the target of an attack. Sam, from a perspective, you were in the intelligence community. Why couldn't they stop this?
Well, they couldn't stop it because they have policies and rules and procedures in place that have them hamstrung. And frankly, we have faced the same thing here, where we have attack after attack, and then after the fact, we find out that the FBI had already gone out and interviewed somebody and talked to them and investigated it and then closed the case. I mean, you either get a lot more aggressive with these guys and a lot more preemptive, or basically you're limiting yourself to cleaning up after the attack happens.
Right, and I would take it even one step further here. I mean, this guy applied for asylum after he served 4 years in an Italian prison for burning down a refugee school. He was known to be a threat. He was under surveillance. He was denied his asylum papers, and then they didn't deport him. Even with their loose policies, they couldn't enforce the ones they already had on the book and get him out of the country. He was just there illegally. They didn't do anything about it. They knew he was a threat. They expected him to do something bad, and then he did. And we're supposed to be surprised here?
Right. I mean, that's a perfect way to phrase it. I mean, should we laugh? Should we cry? It's pathetic. And unfortunately, we're perilously close to being in the same position here. I mean, after a while, you look at all this apparatus and you say, why are you even bothering to pay all these people for border security, for intelligence, if you won't let them do their jobs?
Right, and I guess my question is, after all this information is coming to light today and yesterday about Omri, what kind of information would the intelligence agencies, would the law enforcement agencies in Germany need to have to actually kick him out of the country?
Yeah, that's a great question, because it's hard to imagine, isn't it? I mean, if everything that you just summarized very nicely was insufficient to grab this guy and throw him back out the door, then I don't know what you need. You need to catch him on the way to committing the attack. It's hard to conceive of.
No, that might be circumstantial. That might not be enough. That might be Islamophobic to try to accuse him of actually committing an attack before he's actually committed it. Sam, to me, it's absolutely mind-boggling the more we hear about this. He wasn't just an individual threat. He wasn't just a criminal. He wasn't just denied asylum here. The German intelligence knew he had ties to a radical Islamist network headed by a man whose purpose is to recruit people to join ISIS, to be lone wolf attackers in Europe, in Germany, or to travel to Syria to fight for ISIS there.
Yeah, what you would expect would be the functional equivalent of lights and sirens and all points bulletins and everybody in the country hunting for this guy to grab him and immediately throw him out. Right. And instead, he's just simply allowed to continue to wander around. And you know, I'm being sarcastic, but the horrific underpinning here is that people are dead as a consequence of this, and people are maimed as a consequence of this. And in the immediate aftermath of the attack, the German press was reporting whatever label they had on this guy in their intelligence apparatus, that there's something like 500 or 600 other individuals in Germany alone being carried in exactly the same status. Basically another 500 guys that they know are getting ready to blow up and aren't doing anything about it.
Right, but they can announce that, but they can't walk up to these people and arrest them and kick them out when they're not even citizens of the nation. I said yesterday, Sam, I called for Angela Merkel to resign. I consider the blood of this attack to be on her hands for instituting this policy, for not reversing the policies that put her nation in danger when she came into office. It's absolutely shocking. And I read a comment from the German government yesterday that they said they were so happy to see people back at the Christmas market after this attack that they weren't living in fear. And to be honest, I sat there and thought, why should they not live in fear? All these policies are coming to fruition in these terror attacks. If I were one of the German people, I would be fearful.
They absolutely should be fearful, because nobody is giving any indication that they're even thinking about changing any of the policies that led to this. And you are absolutely right about Merkel. Everybody has been able to see where this is going for years with the policies she's pursued. This is the inevitable consequence of what she's done.
All right, Sam, let's pivot to another radical Islamic terror attack, one that I think is going to be handled in a very different way than the attack in Germany. This, of course, is the assassination of the Russian ambassador in Turkey, Andrei Karlov. He was assassinated by an off-duty Turkish police officer while he was speaking at an art gallery. The off-duty Turkish police officer screamed Allahu Akbar. He also spoke about this being retaliation for Russia's role in Syria, in Aleppo specifically. This is going to be responded to by Russia, in my opinion, very differently than how Germany is going to respond to the Berlin attack. Sam, talk to me about this one. What ramifications do you see?
Well, a whole bunch of ramifications. I mean, the first is that the Russians, by virtue of jumping into Syria with both feet, have now made themselves prime targets worldwide for Sunni extremists. So they're going to begin to be attacked worldwide in the same way that we have been for many years. Will the Russians respond? Without question. They're not subtle. They're not particularly good at that necessarily. I mean, and when they've dealt with terrorist situations in the past, they've killed a lot of innocent people, in situations inside Russia. So this can get really ugly and really bloody. I would also say it's really troubling to me that we now see that the Turkish security forces, the police, are penetrated by Islamic extremists. That is a really bad sign.
Right.
And I would expect that you're going to see other attacks like this.
Right, and I want to focus on that third thing that you said, the Turkish security forces. This attacker was an off-duty police officer. It's not immediately clear whether or not he was still on the force, but he served for 2.5 years. He used his police credentials to get into the event in the first place. But if the Turkish security forces have been penetrated, this is sort of a new front for radical Islamists. This could, in fact, be, and I want to hear your opinion on this, whether or not this is the beginning of the terrorist diaspora that we've heard is set to start happening here.
Right. I think this Turkish diaspora, the terrorist diaspora, spreading outside of Syria has already happened. I mean, it's going to continue, but it has already happened. But it's not just a spreading in the sense that it's geographically spreading. What you're seeing with this, with the penetration of the Turkish security services, is that they're sort of worming their way into the structure of the countries where they're located. With the Turks, their security services basically used to own the space inside Turkey. It used to be that terrorist groups simply could not move in that country. That we see attacks with regularity there now, and now we see penetration of the security services, very, very bad sign. I mean, bad things are coming.
Right, that's essentially infiltration of an official government arm here, the security forces in Turkey. It is, like you said, it's very scary. It's a new front for them. Sam, we're out of time for today, but thank you so much for your analysis on both of these attacks.